The entire charity gala fell silent beneath the bright afternoon sky as one of the world's most powerful female billionaires stopped breathing for a single unforgettable moment. Crystal glasses froze in midair, cameras turned instinctively toward the center of the garden, and dozens of guests stared in disbelief. Her wheelchair-dependent 9-year-old daughter, who had spent months in determined rehabilitation after a devastating spinal injury, had just taken several unsteady but determined steps away from her therapist. Instead of reaching for her mother, she stretched her trembling arms toward an ordinary-looking single father standing quietly near the back of the crowd. The little girl smiled with tears in her eyes as she crossed the final distance and embraced him. No one present understood why she trusted this stranger so completely. Even fewer realized that the quiet father she ran toward had once served as a highly decorated Navy SEAL, a past he had hidden for years while raising his son alone. That extraordinary afternoon became the beginning of a story that proved courage is not measured by medals, wealth, or power, but by the quiet determination to help someone believe in themselves again. Before we continue, if you believe kindness, second chances, and unconditional love still exist, please like this video, leave a heartfelt comment, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to Dad and Destiny Stories. Your support helps these inspiring stories reach people who need hope the most. 38-year-old Gideon Vale lived a life so ordinary that most neighbors barely noticed him. Every morning began beneath warm sunshine as he packed lunches, walked his 10-year-old son Micah to school, and repaired boats at the small marina where he worked. Few people knew that years earlier Gideon had completed dangerous missions around the world as a Navy SEAL. He never spoke about medals or heroics because those memories carried painful losses. After losing his wife to illness, he quietly left military life behind, deciding his greatest mission would simply be becoming the father his son deserved. Across the city, 42-year-old Aurora Sterling seemed to possess everything success could buy. She led a global technology company, appeared on magazine covers, and influenced industries across continents. Yet every achievement felt empty beside the hospital rooms where her daughter, Nessa, spent countless hours rebuilding strength after a severe spinal injury caused by a traffic accident. Doctors never promised she would walk again. Instead, they celebrated every tiny improvement, a stronger grip, better balance, one more determined step during therapy. Aurora attended every appointment, but guilt haunted her because she had been driving on the day the accident changed their lives. Months earlier, Gideon had first met Nessa at a public rehabilitation center, while Micah volunteered after school by reading adventure books to recovering children. Gideon never offered medical advice or dramatic speeches. Instead, he shared stories about perseverance, teamwork, and courage. He showed children how even the strongest people sometimes needed help standing back up. Nessa listened closely. She admired the quiet confidence that asked for no applause. Every therapy session became a little brighter when Gideon and Micah visited. They turned difficult exercises into games, celebrated tiny milestones, and reminded every child that progress was measured in determination rather than speed. Gradually, Nessa stopped fearing failure. Instead of focusing on what she couldn't do, she celebrated every small victory she achieved. Aurora noticed the remarkable emotional change in her daughter. For the first time since the accident, Nessa smiled before therapy instead of dreading it. She laughed more often, believed more deeply, and worked harder than ever. Curious, Aurora introduced herself to Gideon. She expected to meet someone seeking recognition or financial reward. Instead, she found a humble father who simply believed every child deserved encouragement. As weeks passed, Aurora began volunteering anonymously at the rehabilitation center alongside Gideon and Micah. Away from boardrooms and cameras, she discovered a different definition of success. She watched Gideon patiently comfort frightened children, repair broken toys during lunch breaks, and quietly encourage exhausted parents. His strength came not from his past, but from his compassion. One sunny afternoon, the rehabilitation center organized a charity celebration in the botanical gardens to honor children's progress. Families gathered beneath blue skies as therapists demonstrated how persistence and community support transformed lives. Nessa had spent months preparing for one important goal, taking several independent steps during the ceremony. When her therapist gently released her supportive harness, every heartbeat seemed to pause. Slowly, carefully, she placed one foot forward, then another. The distance was only a few meters, yet it represented months of determination, pain, tears, and hope. She glanced toward her mother with gratitude before unexpectedly turning toward Gideon. He had never promised miracles. He had simply convinced her never to stop believing that effort mattered. With careful determination, Nessa crossed the remaining distance and wrapped her arms around him. Aurora stood frozen, overcome not because a miracle had occurred, but because she finally understood that healing is rarely accomplished by medicine alone. It also grows through encouragement, patience, friendship, and unwavering belief. Later that afternoon, Aurora learned the truth about Gideon's military past when another rehabilitation parent recognized his service. She discovered that the quiet Marine mechanic had once risked his life countless times before choosing a simpler mission, raising his son with kindness and helping others rebuild hope. Gideon gently dismissed every compliment. He insisted his proudest achievement was watching Micah become a compassionate young man. Inspired by everything she had witnessed, Aurora established a nationwide foundation supporting rehabilitation programs for injured children regardless of financial background. She asked Gideon to help lead its community outreach because she believed courage inspired people more effectively than wealth ever could. Though reluctant at first, Gideon accepted, not for recognition, but because it meant more children would receive the encouragement they deserved. Years later, thousands of families benefited from those programs. Children regained confidence, parents found support, and communities discovered that healing is strongest when people stand together. Nessa continued improving through dedicated therapy until she could walk independently for longer distances. Every step remained a victory earned through perseverance rather than magic. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs encouragement today, and subscribe to Dad and Destiny Stories so more families can discover stories of hope, resilience, and kindness. Special request, before you go, please comment hope gives us strength if you believe compassion and perseverance can change lives. As the warm afternoon sunlight settled over the botanical gardens once again, Aurora watched her daughter laughing beside Gideon and Micah. She realized that the richest person in the garden had never been the billionaire. It had been the quiet father who expected nothing in return for his kindness. Wealth had built hospitals, but compassion had helped a frightened little girl believe she could keep taking the next step. Sometimes the greatest heroes are not the ones the world applauds. They are the ones who quietly remind others that hope is always worth holding on to.